The San Francisco skyline glittered through the fog, a digital fortress of ambition and secrets that mirrored the tension in my chest. I'm Ethan Harper, once a cybersecurity prodigy for a Silicon Valley giant, now a freelance consultant securing networks for startups. My $3 million bank account built from years of outsmarting hackers was my lifeline. My wife Claire, a marketing director at Novatech, was the charismatic half of our power couple, her charm lighting up tech galas. We'd been married 8 years, raising our 6-year-old son Liam in a sleek Pacific Heights condo with our rescue dog Bite. But lately cracks were forming in our perfect life, and my old instincts honed from hunting cyber threats were screaming that something was wrong. It started with subtle signs. Claire's late nights at Novatech, her phone buzzing at 3 a.m., the new diamond earrings she called client perks. I chalked it up to her high-stakes job, the same drive that drew me to her at a cybersecurity conference in Seattle. She'd strode up her blonde hair, catching the light, and said, "You're the guy who stopped the darknet breach, right?" We'd bonded over code and coffee, building a life together. Our condo, Liam's soccer games, our shared dreams of a secure future. But now, as I sat in my home office, my monitors casting a cold glow, a security alert from my bank account jolted me awake. The alert flagged unauthorized login attempts on my account, $3 million in savings locked with encryption I'd designed myself. Someone was probing their IP, bouncing through servers in Singapore and Frankfurt. This wasn't a script kiddie. It was a pro, and my gut, trained to spot breaches, told me it was personal. I opened my intrusion detection system, a relic from my corporate days, and traced the attempts to a VPN linked to Novatech. My heart sank. Claire's company. I told myself it was a glitch, but my instincts didn't buy it. I slipped on my headphones, Bite snoring at my feet, and ran a packet sniffer on Claire's laptop. Ethics be damned when my life was on the line. Her screen mirrored to mine, and I watched her type an email to Daniel Reed, her smooth-talking data analyst colleague, who'd been too cozy at Novatech events. "Ethan's accounts are ours by Friday," she wrote. "We frame him for money laundering, take the house, and oust him from his firm. He's out by Friday." Daniel's reply was instant, perfect. "Claire, we'll be set for life." The words hit like a zero-day exploit, crashing my world. Claire, my partner, the woman who'd cheered my first big contract, was plotting to rob me blind and ruin me. Daniel, the guy I'd shared beers with, was her accomplice. My fingers trembled, rage, cold and sharp, but I buried it. My cybersecurity training kicking in, assess, strategize, execute. Confronting her now would tip my hand. I needed proof, leverage, control. I opened my secure line, a holdover from my corporate days, and pinged Rachel Nguyen, my old colleague who now ran a cybersecurity firm. "Need you to trace accounts," I typed. "Possible fraud at Novatech. High stakes." Her reply was swift. "Send details. I'm in." Upstairs, Claire's laughter drifted from her office, a sound that once warmed me, but now felt like malware. I minimized my screen, slipping on my consultant's mask, calm, slightly distracted, and joined her in the kitchen. "Still working?" I asked, leaning against the counter, noting her tailored blazer and the faint scent of unfamiliar cologne. "Yeah. Daniel's pushing a new campaign," she said, her green eyes guarded, her smile practiced. "Big week." Her phone buzzed and she angled it away, a dead giveaway. "Need anything?" I offered, watching her flinch. "I'm good," she said, brushing past me. "Just swamped." Back in my office, I checked my intrusion logs. The hacker was probing again, closer to my decoy account. I'd set up a honeypot, a fake bank account layered with traps to lock their systems and trace their moves. If they bit, I'd have evidence of their fraud ready for the FBI. Claire thought she'd outsmarted me, but she didn't know I'd spent years stopping breaches bigger than her scheme. I tweaked the honeypot, making it look vulnerable, and texted Rachel targets Daniel Reed, Novatech. "Dig into his accounts. I'm setting a trap." Her reply was a thumbs up, her code for game on. Claire's voice called from upstairs. "Ethan, Liam's asking for you." I headed up, finding Liam curled up with a book, his dark curls like mine. "Night, buddy," I said, kissing his forehead, my heart heavy with the stakes. Claire watched from the doorway, her smile a performance. I thought of our first hackathon, her cheering my code now a distant lie. She was no longer my partner. She was a threat plotting to take my money, my firm, my son. But I was a cybersecurity expert, trained to outmaneuver attacks, and they'd underestimated me. The trap was set, and by Friday their empire would crash. The San Francisco fog clung to the city like a digital veil, its muted glow matching the storm brewing in my chest. I sat in my Pacific Heights condo's office, my monitors pulsing with data byte snores, a faint comfort in the corner. Last night's discovery, Claire, my wife of 8 years plotting with her Novatech colleague Daniel Reed to hack my $3 million bank account and frame me for money laundering, had shattered my world. They planned to oust me from my cybersecurity firm by Friday, leaving me broke and disgraced. My 6-year-old son Liam was at stake, his future caught in their scheme. But I wasn't just a consultant. I was an ex-Silicon Valley cybersecurity prodigy, trained to outmaneuver threats, and I was about to turn their hack against them. I leaned over my keyboard, the blue light of my screens casting shadows across my face. My intrusion detection system showed more unauthorized probes on my account, their digital fingerprints bouncing through servers in Moscow and Dubai. Claire thought she'd outsmarted me, but I'd spent a decade stopping breaches bigger than her scam. I opened my analytics suite, pulling logs from our joint accounts. The data painted a grim picture: $250,000 siphoned over 4 months, funneled through shell accounts labeled marketing expenses. Claire's digital signature was on every transfer, hidden just below the alert threshold. My pulse quickened, not from fear, but from the clarity of a pattern exposed. My mind flashed to the Seattle conference where I'd met Claire. She'd breezed into my panel, her green eyes sharp, her questions cutting. "How do you stop a breach no one sees coming?" she'd asked, her smile disarming. We'd stayed up late debugging code over bourbon, her ambition a spark that lit my world. Now that spark was a virus, infecting my life. I pushed the memory aside, focusing on the code. I'd set up a honeypot, a fake bank account layered with traps to lock their systems and trace their moves. If their hacker bit, I'd have proof of their fraud ready for the FBI. I needed more intel, so I pinged Rachel Nguyen, my old colleague now running a cybersecurity firm. Her reply was instant. "Got your data. Daniel's dirty shell accounts in Panama, fake data transfers. Sending you a drive. Meet me at the circuit 10 a.m. Rachel was a legend, her audits feared by tech giants. If anyone could dig up Daniel's dirt, it was her. I encrypted my servers, hiding my real account behind a maze of proxies, and tweaked the honeypot to look like a vulnerable gold mine. Claire and Daniel would think I was crumbling ripe for their takeover. Upstairs, Claire was in her office, her laughter drifting down a performance for a husband she thought clueless. I slipped into my consultant's mask, calm, distracted, and headed up carrying a coffee mug to keep the act going. "Still at it?" I asked, leaning against her doorframe. She glanced up, her tailored blazer crisp, her smile tight. "Yeah, Daniel's got us on a tight deadline," she said, her fingers twitching toward her phone. "Big campaign." Her perfume carried a hint of unfamiliar cologne. "Need anything?" I offered, noting her flinch. "I'm good," she said, angling her screen away, a dead giveaway. Back in my office, I checked my keylogger on Claire's laptop. She was emailing Daniel Ethan's, swamped. "Push the transfer tomorrow." My stomach twisted, but I stayed focused, diving into my best friend Lucas's financials. Lucas, my college buddy, had been dodging my calls, his usual tech bro charm replaced by vague excuses. He'd joined Novatech last year, a favor I'd pulled with Claire. I ran a trace on his accounts, and the data hit like a breach: $40,000 in deposits from a shell company linked to Daniel, tied to a loan Lucas took to fund his startup. Lucas was feeding Daniel my firm's data, betraying me for cash. The sting was raw, but I buried it, channeling it into my plan. I installed a shadow tracker on Lucas's phone, capturing his texts to Daniel Ethan's in the dark. Clear to move. Rage flared, but I turned it into precision, coding a script to flag every transaction tied to Daniel's shells. I thought of Lucas at our last poker night, laughing about his big break at Novatech. He'd toasted my success, all while selling me out. I messaged Rachel add Lucas Harper to the target list. Check his accounts for Novatech links. Her reply was a grim emoji. Her code for this is war. Claire knocked, holding a folder. Hey, we need to sign this, she said, her voice honeyed. It's for restructuring our assets, better returns for Liam's future. I scanned the papers, spotting a transfer clause buried in fine print, handing my account to a shell company. Looks solid, I lied, closing the folder. I'll have my lawyer check tomorrow. Her smile faltered. It's time-sensitive, Ethan. Rates are dropping. I nodded, playing along. I'll handle it. She left her heels clicking, unaware I'd just bought time to tighten my trap. I leaned back, bite stirring at my feet. Claire, Daniel, Lucas. They thought they could erase me by Friday. But I was a cybersecurity expert trained to spot breaches before they hit, and my traps were set. They wanted my money, my firm, my son. They'd get a lesson in consequences coded by a man who saw every glitch, every betrayal. I sipped my coffee, the city's pulse matching mine. The counterstrike was ready, and their empire was about to crash. The San Francisco fog swirled outside my Pacific Heights condo, a digital haze that matched the storm in my mind. I sat in my office, my monitors glowing with data streams. Bite's snores, a faint anchor in the chaos. Claire, my wife of 8 years, was upstairs playing the perfect spouse, while plotting with her Novatech colleague Daniel Reed to hack my $3 million bank account and frame me for money laundering. My best friend Lucas's betrayal, selling my firm's data to Daniel for a startup loan, had cut deep. But I buried the pain, channeling it into the precision that made me a cybersecurity legend. My honeypot, a fake account rigged with traps, was live, ready to snare their hacker. The game was on, and I was playing to win. I drove through the city's neon pulse to the Circuit, a tech dive bar in the Mission District where coders swapped secrets over craft beers. Rachel Nguyen, my old Silicon Valley colleague, waited in a corner booth, her sharp eyes scanning a tablet, like it held the key to a data breach. Rachel was a cybersecurity titan, her firm feared by tech giants for exposing their vulnerabilities. You look like you're hunting a virus, she said, sliding a USB drive across the table with a black coffee. Daniel's dirtier than a phishing scam. Offshore accounts in the Caymans, fake data transfers through shell companies. Claire's signing off on his moves. I plugged the USB into my burner laptop, my pulse steady despite the fire inside. The files were damning bank records showing Daniel siphoning $2 million from Novatech investors' emails, with Claire approving fake contracts and a paper trail linking Lucas to their shells. There's more, Rachel said, her voice low. Claire's sister Megan set up those shell accounts. She's pissed you outshone her at Novatech's pitch last year. My jaw clenched. Megan, who'd babysat Liam and toasted our anniversary, was in on this. Another traitor. Another glitch in my trusted network. Hard evidence, I asked, my voice calm, a cybersecurity expert assessing a threat. Rachel smirked, tapping her tablet. Intercepted texts between Megan and Daniel. They're sloppy, Ethan. Thought their VPN was untouchable. I scanned the texts, Megan gloating about crushing Ethan for stealing her spotlight. The betrayal stung, but I filed it away, my mind racing like a firewall under attack. I've got a honeypot live, I told Rachel. If their hacker bites my traps, lock their systems, and trace their moves. I'm also planting fake losses to bait Daniel into pushing the frame up. Rachel nodded, her eyes glinting with approval. Smart play. I've got a backdoor into Novatech's servers. I can monitor Daniel's data transfers, catch his next move. Want to leak anything yet? I shook my head. Let them think they're winning. I need their board meeting to go ahead. I checked my phone, my shadow tracker on Claire's laptop, showing her emailing Daniel Ethan signing tomorrow. Board votes Friday to oust him. My lips curled into a cold smile. They thought I was a mark, but I was rewriting their code. Back at the condo, I kept up the act, hosting a family dinner pizza, Liam's favorite, to maintain my cover. Big day tomorrow, I asked Claire, pouring wine, my voice casual. She glanced up from her phone, her green eyes guarded. "Just campaign prep?" she said, her smile tight. "Daniel's pushing hard." Her phone buzzed, and she angled it away, a telltale sign of guilt. "You okay?" I pressed, noting her flinch. "Just stressed?" she said, brushing her hair back. I nodded, playing the oblivious husband, but my servers were alive, tracking her keystrokes. She was texting Megan. "Ethan's clueless. Transfer goes through tomorrow." I excused myself to my office, Bite trailing his tail, wagging like he sensed the hunt. My monitors showed the hacker probing my honeypot inches from the trap. I tweaked the decoy, making it look like a failing account, tempting them to dive in. I thought of Megan at Liam's last soccer game, cheering like family, now plotting my ruin out of envy. I ran a trace on her accounts, finding $25,000 in payments from Daniel. Rage flared, but I channeled it, coding a script to flag her transactions for the IRS. I messaged Rachel, monitor Novatech's board server. "I'm planting malware in their investor portal. Check Megan's accounts too." Her reply was a grim emoji, her code for war's on. Claire's voice broke my focus, calling from upstairs. "Ethan, Liam's ready for bed." Her tone was warm, a performance for a man she thought she'd outsmarted. I joined them, tucking Liam in his dark curls, a mirror of mine. "Love you, Dad," he mumbled, my heart heavy with the stakes. Claire watched her smile a lie. They wanted my money, my firm, my son by Friday. But I was a cybersecurity expert, trained to stop breaches before they hit, and my traps were set. Claire, Daniel, Lucas, Megan. They'd underestimated a man who saw every glitch, every betrayal. The game was live, and their empire was about to crash. The San Francisco skyline pulsed through the fog, its neon veins sinking with the fire in my chest. I sat in my Pacific Heights condo's office, my monitors alive with data bytes, snores a faint anchor in the storm. Claire, my wife of 8 years, was upstairs playing the devoted spouse, while scheming with her Novatech colleague Daniel Reed to hack my $3 million bank account and frame me for money laundering. My best friend Lucas and Claire's sister Megan were in on it, their betrayals stacking like corrupted code. Last night I'd rigged a honeypot, a fake account laced with traps, and tonight at Novatech's tech conference, I'd spring the trap to crash their empire. I was no ordinary consultant. I was an ex-Silicon Valley cybersecurity prodigy, and they'd underestimated me. My screens glowed with alerts. Daniel's hacker had tripped my honeypot, thinking they'd cracked my real account. My malware locked their system, redirecting their attempted transfer to a secure vault I controlled. The $3 million was safe, and their every move was logged, proof of fraud, ready for the FBI. I leaned back, sipping cold coffee, my pulse steady as a firewall. Rachel and Gwen, my cybersecurity ally, had sent more dirt. Daniel's shell companies were bleeding Novatech investors dry, with Megan's fake accounts funneling millions. Lucas's startup loan tied him to Daniel's payouts, his betrayal a raw wound I buried under strategy. I checked my keylogger on Claire's laptop. She was emailing Daniel board votes tomorrow to oust Ethan. Funds transferred tonight. My lips curled into a cold smile. They thought they were closing in, but I'd sent their financials to TechCrunch via an anonymous drop. The headline set to hit at midnight would read, "Novatech in money laundering scandal. Investors were already pulling funds, spooked by my fake loss reports, making my firm look shaky." Claire's phone buzzed upstairs, her voice tense through my hidden mic. "Daniel, the transfer's stuck. What's wrong?" His reply was frantic. "My systems crashed. Fix it." I dressed for the conference, black blazer, crisp shirt. My consultant's mask polished to perfection. Novatech's event was at a downtown hotel, a glitzy showcase of tech wealth. Claire thought I'd skip it, too buried in work to notice their boardroom coup. She was wrong. I texted Rachel, monitor Novatech's servers. "Leak goes live at midnight. I'm crashing their party." Her reply was a grinning emoji, her code for game on. Bite lifted his head, sensing my shift. Hold the fort, buddy, I said, scratching his ears, and headed into the city's electric haze. The hotel ballroom was a sea of tech bros, and champagne San Francisco's skyline framing Novatech's elite. Claire shone in a silver dress, her smile dazzling as she worked the crowd with Daniel. I slipped in blending with the coders, my eyes locked on her. She spotted me, her smile faltering, and excused herself from investors. "Ethan, you're here," she said, her voice syrupy, her green eyes guarded. "Wouldn't miss it." I replied, my tone light but edged like a server on the brink of a crash. Daniel joined us. His polished grin strained. "Good to see you, Ethan," he said, offering a handshake. I ignored. "Let's talk," I said, leading them to a private lounge, my phone streaming to Rachel's secure server. "I know about the hack, the frame-up Megan's shells." Claire's face paled, her glass trembling. "What are you talking about?" she stammered. I pulled up my tablet showing their emails, Daniel's offshore accounts, Megan's transactions. "You thought you could take my firm by Friday?" I said, my voice low, lethal. "You thought I was just a consultant." Daniel tried to interrupt, but I cut him off, my gaze on Claire. "Lucas is in on it too, selling my data for his loan. But you're done." The ballroom screens flickered, courtesy of Rachel's hack displaying Claire's texts. "Ethan's clueless. We'll have his firm by Friday." Gasps rippled through the crowd, investors whispering. Daniel lunged for my tablet, but I sidestepped, my cybersecurity calm, unshaken. "TechCrunch has it all," I said. "Your fraud, your shells, your betrayal. Leave Novatech, Claire, or the FBI gets this next." She froze, her socialite mask shattered. "Ethan, please," she whispered, but I handed her a USB labeled "Your Lies." "You're out by Friday," I said, echoing her ultimatum. Daniel stormed off, investors swarming him. Claire stood trembling as the conference turned on her. I walked away, the city's pulse matching mine. My servers pinged. TechCrunch had published early the scandal trending. They'd underestimated a man who saw every glitch, every betrayal. The trap was sprung, and their empire was crashing. I wasn't done, but tonight I'd won the first round. The San Francisco dawn broke through the fog, its muted light a stark contrast to the fire in my chest. I sat in my Pacific Heights condo's office, my monitors pulsing with data streams, Bytes snores, a quiet anchor in the chaos. Claire, my wife of 8 years, had schemed with her Novatech colleague Daniel Reed to hack my $3 million bank account and frame me for money laundering. My best friend Lucas and Claire's sister Megan were in on it, their betrayals piling up like corrupted files. Last night's conference showdown exposing their emails on the ballroom screens had tanked Novatech's stock and sent Claire and Daniel scrambling. But I was an ex-Silicon Valley cybersecurity prodigy trained to outmaneuver threats, and my traps were still closing. The TechCrunch leak had hit, and the FBI was circling. Now Claire was fighting back, and I was ready to bury her. My servers glowed with updates from Rachel Nguyen, my cybersecurity ally. Daniel's international data theft had triggered an FBI probe, his offshore accounts frozen. Megan's shell companies were under IRS scrutiny, and Lucas's startup loan had him dodging creditors. Claire's latest move was a desperate counterattack, an emergency motion accusing me of laundering money through my firm to block my assets. Her lawyer, backed by doctored financials, was pushing hard. But my evidence. Claire's emails, Daniel's transactions, Megan's shells was airtight. I sipped cold coffee, my pulse steady as a firewall. They thought they could outsmart me, but I'd spent years stopping breaches before they struck. Rachel's text pinged, "Claire's lawyer is pushing hard, claiming you hid funds offshore. FBI's sniffing, but your honeypot logs are solid." I smirked, opening my analytics suite. The honeypot had captured Daniel's hacker, my old mentee, logging every attempt to siphon my funds. I traced Claire's latest move, finding $200,000 funneled from our joint accounts through Megan's shells. My fingers flew coding a script to leak her transactions to Wired, tagged anonymously as Novatech fraud. I texted Rachel, "Send Claire's financials to the FBI. Keep my name out." Her reply was a thumbs up, her code for done. Claire was in her queen studio, her socialite sheen gone. My keylogger caught her emailing Daniel Ethan's behind the leaks. Freeze his accounts. Now I intercepted a call to Megan. Her voice frantic. The FBI's digging into our shells. We're done. Daniel's reply was panicked. My board's bailing. Fix this. I smiled cold and calculated as my servers pinged. The wired leak went live, exposing Claire's siphoned funds. The FBI would be on her by noon. Her credibility shot. I thought of Liam, my 6-year-old son, caught in Lucas's attempt to drag him into the scandal by forging his trust fund documents. Liam was my anchor, his future at stake. Lucas had tried to pin his loan debts on Liam's trust, naming him in fake Novatech contracts. I called my sister Sarah, who was watching Liam keep him safe. I've got proof Lucas forged his trust fund. FBI's on it. Her voice trembled with relief. Thank you, Ethan. He's okay. I buried the warmth, focusing on the data. Lucas's betrayal stung our college hackathons. His toasts to my success now lies. I sent Rachel a new task: leak Lucas's loan payouts to Reuters. Bury him. Her reply was a grim emoji, her code for war's on. Claire's lawyer filed to freeze my accounts, claiming I'd laundered funds through my firm. I met Rachel at a Soma coffee shop. Her tablet loaded with counter-evidence: Claire's shell transfers, Daniel's offshore logs, Megan's fake accounts. We'll crush this in court, Rachel said, her eyes sharp. The FBI's already on Daniel. I nodded my mind to server room, calculating every move. I sent a curated leak to Wired, exposing Claire's attempt to bribe a Novatech investor to stay quiet. The article hit at noon, trending with had Novatech fraud, and Claire's phone buzzed with alerts. My mic catching her scream, Ethan's ruining us, back at the condo. I kept up the act, knocking on Claire's door. You okay? I asked, my voice warm, masking the storm inside. She emerged, her green eyes hollow, her smile forced. Just work drama, she said, clutching her phone. Daniel's a mess. I nodded, feigning concern. Let me know if you need me. She didn't know I'd sent her lawyer a USB with her bribe attempt labeled Your End. My servers showed her opening it, gasping as the files loaded. Ethan knows, she whispered to Daniel on a call, her voice breaking. I smiled, my traps closing like a perfect encryption key. I drove to my safe house, bite beside me, the city's pulse matching mine. Claire, Daniel, Lucas. Megan, they thought they could erase me by Friday. But I was a cybersecurity expert, seeing every glitch, every fraud. My traps had turned their empire to dust, and the feds were closing in. Liam was safe, my accounts secure, but I wasn't done. One more leak, one more strike, and their ruin would be complete. They'd underestimated a man who coded their downfall, and now they'd pay the price. The San Francisco fog draped the city like a digital cloak, its muted glow mirroring the storm in my chest. I sat in my Pacific Heights condo's office, my monitors alive with data streams, bites, snores, a faint anchor in the chaos. Claire, my wife of 8 years, had plotted with her Novatech colleague Daniel Reed to hack my $3 million bank account and frame me for money laundering. My best friend Lucas and Claire's sister Megan were in on it, their betrayals stacking like corrupted code. The conference showdown, exposing their emails on the ballroom screens, had tanked Novatech's stock, and my TechCrunch and Wired leaks had the FBI circling. But I was an ex-Silicon Valley cybersecurity prodigy trained to outmaneuver threats, and last night's traps were just the start. Claire was fighting back, and I was ready to dig deeper, to bury her. My servers hummed with updates from Rachel and Gwen, my cybersecurity ally. Daniel's international data theft had triggered a federal probe, his offshore accounts frozen. Megan's shell companies were under IRS audit, and Lucas's startup loan had him dodging arrest. Claire's attempt to freeze my assets with fake laundering charges had failed, my honeypot logs dismantling her claims. But Rachel's latest message sent a chill through me. Found a big one. Claire was tied to a client, Victor Lang, who died in a cyber attack last year. Suspicious, 1.5 made insurance payout. Meet me at the node 7 p.m. Lang, a tech CEO, had been Novatech's top client. A cyber attack. My gut screamed foul play. I leaned back sipping cold coffee, my mind racing like a firewall under siege. Lang's death had been ruled a server failure. His company's systems crashed, triggering a heart attack. Rachel's files showed Claire accessing his network, weeks before collecting a $1.5 million payout through a shell account. Emails between her and Daniel discussed system vulnerabilities before the crash, too precise to be coincidence. Had Claire orchestrated it? The thought froze my blood, but I stayed focused, a cybersecurity expert spotting a glitch no one else saw. I texted Rachel, dig deeper into Lang. Send everything. Her reply was a grim emoji, her code for this is bad. I checked my keylogger on Claire's laptop. She was emailing Daniel Ethan's onto us. We need to stop him before the board meeting. Daniel's reply was panicked. My accounts are locked. FBI's sniffing around. I smirked, my honeypot, still feeding them. Fake losses, keeping them off balance. But the Lang angle changed everything. Claire wasn't just a thief. She might be a killer. I needed more, so I arranged a meet with Daniel, knowing he'd crack under pressure. I sent him an anonymous text from a burner phone, meet me at the node 8 p.m. I have evidence on Lang. Come alone. I rigged my office with cameras ready to record his confession. At the node, a gritty tech bar in Soma, I waited in a shadowed booth, my hoodie blending with the coders. Rachel arrived first, sliding me a USB. Lang's crash wasn't an accident, she whispered. Claire planted malware in his servers. Payout went to her shell account. I nodded, my pulse steady despite the stakes. Daniel walked in his tailored suit, rumpled his eyes, darting like a cornered hacker. He spotted me, freezing. Ethan. You sent the text. I leaned forward. My voice low, lethal. I know about Lang, Daniel. Talk or the FBI gets this. I held up the USB, my camera's rolling. He collapsed into the booth, his face pale. It wasn't supposed to kill him, he stammered. Claire said it was just a data breach for the payout. She handled the malware. I kept my calm, pressing him. You helped her plant it. He shook his head, panicked. No, I just moved the money. She did the rest. I recorded every word, my mind cataloging the evidence. You're done, Daniel, I said, sliding him a burner USB. Testify or this goes public. He nodded, fear in his eyes, and stumbled out, leaving me with proof of Claire's darker game. Back at the condo, Claire was packing her heels, clicking frantically. I tapped into her phone, catching her call to Megan Ethan's. Got everything, FBI's coming. I sent Rachel the footage, leaked Daniel's confession to Wired. Push the Lang angle. Her reply was a thumbs up. I crafted an email to Claire from a burner account, attaching a screenshot of her Lang emails. FBI has this. Surrender by morning, or it's over. Her gasp echoed through my mic as she opened it, her voice breaking. How does he know? I smiled, cold and calculated. As my servers pinged, the Wired leak was live trending with hashtag Novatech fraud. I drove to my safe house, bite beside me, the city's pulse matching mine. Claire, Daniel, Lucas. Megan, they thought they could erase me by Friday. But I'd turned their hack against them, exposing a crime far worse than theft. The FBI was closing in, and my son Liam was safe from their lies. I wasn't just protecting my accounts, I was dismantling a killer's empire. They'd underestimated a man who saw every glitch, and now their world was crashing. The San Francisco skyline loomed under a stormy dusk, its neon pulse sinking with the fire in my chest. I sat in my Brooklyn safe house. A Spartan apartment under an alias, my monitors alive with data streams. Bite, my rescue dog, dozed on a blanket, his snores a faint anchor in the chaos. Claire, my wife of 8 years, had schemed with her Novatech colleague, Daniel Reed, to hack my $3 million bank account and frame me for money laundering. My best friend Lucas, Claire's sister Megan, and even my mother were in on it, their betrayals piling up like corrupted code. My honeypot traps and TechCrunch leaks had tanked their empire, and the Wired expose on Victor Lang's suspicious cyber attack death had the FBI circling. Now Claire was escalating, and I, Ethan Harper, ex-Silicon Valley cybersecurity prodigy, was ready to end her game. My servers hummed with updates from Rachel and Gwen, my cybersecurity ally. Daniel's global data theft had triggered a federal probe, his offshore accounts frozen. Megan's shell companies were under IRS audit, and Lucas was dodging arrest for forging Liam's trust fund documents. Claire's latest move was a desperate counterattack, an emergency motion accusing me of laundering money through my firm backed by fake evidence planted by a corrupt ex-NSA hacker she'd hired. My honeypot logs capturing Daniel's failed hacks were airtight, and my evidence of Claire's fraud was ready for the FBI. I sipped cold coffee, my pulse steady as a firewall. They thought they could bury me, but I'd spent years stopping breaches before they struck. Rachel's text pinged, "Claire's hacker is Victor Kane, ex-NSA, dirty as they come. He's planting fake data to frame you." I smirked, opening my analytics suite. Kane's name rang bells, a disgraced hacker I'd outed at a tech firm years ago, now taking Claire's cash. I traced his digital footprint, finding $150,000 from her shell accounts. My fingers flew coding a script to leak his transactions to Bloomberg, tagged anonymously as Novatech hacker fraud. I texted Rachel, "Send Kane's dirt to the FBI. Keep my name out." Her reply was a thumbs up, her code for done. Claire was in her Queen's studio, her socialite polish gone. My keylogger caught her emailing her lawyer Ethan's behind the leaks. Push the laundering charge, I intercepted a call to Daniel, her voice frantic. The FBI's, onto Lang's crash, were finished. Daniel's reply was panicked. "My board's bailing, fix this." I smiled, cold and calculated. As my servers pinged, the Bloomberg leak went live, exposing Kane's payoffs. The FBI would be on him by morning, his credibility shot. I thought of Lang, the tech CEO whose cyber attack death Claire had orchestrated for a $1.5 million payout, a crime I'd exposed at the conference. Liam, my 6-year-old son, was my anchor. Lucas had tried to pin his loan debts on Liam's trust fund, forging his name in Novatech contracts. I called my sister Sarah, who was watching him. "Liam's clear. I've got Lucas's forgeries with the FBI." Her relief was palpable. "You're a lifesaver, Ethan." I buried the warmth, focusing on the data. Lucas's betrayal stung our hackathon nights, his startup pitches, now lies. I sent Rachel a new task: leak Lucas's payouts to Reuters, sink him. Her reply was a grim emoji, her code for war's on. Claire's lawyer pushed the laundering motion, claiming I'd funneled funds offshore. I met Rachel at a Soma diner, her tablet loaded with counter-evidence. Claire's Lang emails, Daniel's offshore logs, Megan's shells. "We'll crush this in court," Rachel said, her eyes sharp. "The FBI's already on Kane." I nodded, my mind a server room, calculating every move. I sent a curated leak to Wired, exposing Claire's attempt to frame me for Lang's crash. The article hit at noon, trending with hashtag Novatech fraud. Claire's phone buzzed with alerts, my mic catching her scream, "Ethan's destroying us," back at the safe house. I checked my feeds. The FBI had detained Kane, his payoffs linked to Claire. Daniel's board ousted him, his empire crumbling. Megan's firm was bankrupt, and Lucas was under arrest. Claire tried to flee to Singapore, booking a flight under an alias, but my anonymous FBI tip stopped her at SFO. My mother, shamed by her role, had cut contact. I leaned back, bite stirring at my feet. Claire, Daniel, Lucas, Megan, they thought they could erase me by Friday. But I was a cybersecurity expert, seeing every glitch, every fraud. My traps had turned their empire to dust, and the feds were closing in. Liam was safe, my accounts secure, but I wasn't done. One more strike, and their ruin would be permanent. The San Francisco skyline glowed under a stormy dusk, its neon veins a stark reminder of the war I'd waged. I sat in my Brooklyn safe house, a Spartan apartment under an alias, my monitors pulsing with data streams. Bite, my rescue dog, curled up on a blanket, his snores a quiet anchor in the chaos. Claire, my wife of 8 years, had schemed with her Novatech colleague Daniel Reed to hack my $3 million bank account and frame me for money laundering. My best friend Lucas, Claire's sister Megan, and even my mother were in on it, their betrayals piling up like corrupted code. My honeypot traps, TechCrunch leaks, and Wired exposés had tanked their empire, and the FBI was probing Claire's role in Victor Lang's suspicious cyber attack death. Now, with Claire's last-ditch frame-up attempt crumbling, Ethan Harper, ex-Silicon Valley cybersecurity prodigy, was ready to end their game. My servers hummed with updates from Rachel Nguyen, my cybersecurity ally. The FBI had detained Victor Kane, Claire's corrupt ex-NSA hacker, after my Bloomberg leak exposed his $150,000 payoff from her shell accounts. Daniel's global data theft had crashed Novatech, his board ousting him as the SEC seized their servers. Megan's shell companies were bankrupt under IRS audits, and Lucas was under arrest for forging Liam's trust fund documents. Claire, holed up in a Queen studio, faced fraud charges, her attempt to flee to Singapore thwarted by my FBI tip. My mother, shamed for backing Claire's scheme, had retreated to a Jersey rental, her socialite life gone. I leaned back, sipping cold coffee, my pulse steady as a firewall. Claire's latest move was a desperate bid to pin Lang's cyber attack death on me, planting fake evidence through Kane. My monitors showed her emailing her lawyer Ethan framed me. Push the Lang angle. I smirked my evidence. Her emails, Daniel's confessions, Megan's shells was ironclad. I'd sent Rachel a dossier, leak Claire's Lang malware to the FBI. Keep Liam clear. Her reply was a thumbs up, her code for done. The Wired article exposing Claire's $1. $5 million payout from Lang's death was trending with hashtag #NovaTechFraud. Her socialite mask shattered. Liam, my 6-year-old son, was my anchor. His future safe from Lucas's forgeries. I called my sister Sarah, who was watching him. Liam's in the clear. FBI has Lucas's fakes. Her relief was palpable. You're his hero, Ethan. I buried the warmth, focusing on the data. Lucas's betrayal stung our late-night coding sessions. His startup dreams, now lies. I sent Rachel a final leak, exposed Lucas's forgeries to Reuters. Sink him. Her reply was a grim emoji, her code for war's on. The article hit trending, ensuring Lucas's ruin. Claire's lawyer pushed the laundering motion, but my counter-evidence. Claire's malware emails, Daniel's offshore logs, Megan's shells, crushed it in court. I met Rachel at a Soma diner, her tablet loaded with proof. FBI's building a case on Claire, she said, her eyes sharp. Kane's flipped, testifying against her. I nodded, my mind a server room, every move precise. I sent a final Wired leak, exposing Claire's attempt to bribe a Novatech board member to stay quiet. The article trended, and Claire's phone buzzed with alerts. My mic catching her sob, Ethan's destroyed us, back at the safe house. I checked my feeds. Daniel was in custody. His board's betrayal sealing his fate. Megan's bankruptcy was trending, her clients suing. Lucas was jailed, his startup dreams dust. My mother's emails begging forgiveness went unanswered. Claire left a voicemail, Ethan. Let's talk, I'm sorry I deleted it. My heart a vault. I sent her lawyer a USB with her Lang emails labeled Your End. My mic caught her crying in her studio, her voice broken. He's won. I smiled, cold and calculated, as the FBI subpoenaed her accounts, linking her to Lang's payout. I leaned back, bites stirring at my feet. The FBI was closing in, Liam was safe, and my accounts were secure. Claire, Daniel, Lucas, Megan. They'd thought they could erase me by Friday. But I was a cybersecurity expert, trained to spot breaches before they hit. My traps had turned their empire to dust, their lies exposed in headlines. The victory was mine, but it felt hollow. A reminder that trust was a glitch I'd never miss again. I locked my servers, the skyline fading into night. The game was over, but my vigilance wasn't. They'd pay for their betrayal, and I'd code my future on my terms. The Seattle skyline shimmered under a crisp autumn dusk, its glass towers a testament to the empire I'd built from betrayal's ashes. I was Michael West now, no longer Ethan Harper, the ex-Silicon Valley cybersecurity prodigy who dismantled a conspiracy 8 years ago. My wife Claire, her Novatech colleague Daniel Reed, my best friend Lucas, her sister Megan, and even my mother had tried to hack my $3 million bank account and frame me for money laundering. They'd planned to oust me by Friday, leaving me broke and disgraced. But my honeypot traps, TechCrunch leaks, and Wired exposés had crushed their plans, exposing Claire's role in Victor Lang's suspicious cyber attack death. Now my cybersecurity firm Nexus Guard thrived, while their lives were digital dust, their betrayals a Silicon Valley cautionary tale. I stood in my office sipping a cold brew, my monitors humming with vigilance. Byte's collar hung on the wall, a bittersweet nod to my old companion who'd passed 3 years ago. Beside it, a framed Wired article read, "Novatech collapses in fraud scandal. Nexus Guard funded by the $3 million I'd saved, now worth $15 million, protected startups from cyber threats. Our audits feared by crooked CEOs. My son Liam, my only true family, flourished as a Seattle middle schooler. His soccer games, a haven for the kid we'd been. He'd visit tonight bringing his latest robotics project, his laughter a balm for the scars of Lucas's betrayal. I'd kept him safe from forged trust fund documents, his trust my anchor. Rachel Nguyen, my forensics partner, kept our enemies' fates sealed. Her update pinged, Claire sentenced to 7 years for fraud. Daniel, an IT clerk in Ohio, blacklisted. Megan bankrupt, Lucas jailed, mother isolated. Claire, once a San Francisco socialite, languished in an Arizona prison, her parole bids crushed by my bots linking her crimes. Daniel, Novatech's former star, shuffled through a dead-end job, his data theft exposed by my leaks. Megan's accounting firm was gone, her lawsuits piling up. Lucas, serving 5 years for fraud, was shunned by our circle. My mother, who'd backed Claire's scheme, lived alone in a Jersey rental, her socialite days erased. I leaned back, my monitors showing a Reuters alert, hackers' revenge sparks, cybercrime laws. My anonymous strikes had inspired regulations protecting startups from fraud, my legacy coded into Silicon Valley's DNA. I thought of Claire's face at the conference, her mask cracking as my hack exposed her. Her prison emails begging forgiveness went to spam. My servers flagged them automatically. Daniel's job applications triggered alerts linking his crimes, locking him out of tech. Megan's loan rejections and my mother's foreclosure notices were routine, my network ensuring their past never faded. Liam knocked his backpack stuffed with robotics gear. "You're working too hard, Dad," he teased, setting up his project. I grinned, the name Michael now my own. "Just keeping the servers clean?" I said, ruffling his hair. He'd read my story in a tech journal, calling me his cyber hero. "You showed them," he said, his eyes bright. "You kept me safe." My chest tightened, his trust a lifeline. After dinner, I checked my feeds, a Silicon Valley habit unbroken. Rachel's firm tracked threats, ensuring Claire's pleas or Daniel's schemes stayed dead. My servers, hidden in a Seattle data center, ran 24/7, guarding against ripples. An alert flashed Claire's lawyer. Once Daniel's ally had tried to suppress evidence for her parole, but my leaks to the SEC stopped it cold. I smirked, opening a terminal. I'd traced his financials, finding payouts from Daniel's old shells. I sent Rachel a script, exposed the lawyer's ties to Daniel. "Keep it anonymous." Her reply was a winking emoji, her code for done. I stood locking my office, the skyline glowing like clean code. Claire had wanted wealth, Daniel power, but they'd lost it all to a man they thought was just a consultant. I'd found peace not in trust, but in control. My servers ever watchful, my code unbreakable. Their betrayal had freed me, and my future was mine to shape. The Seattle skyline glowed under a late autumn sunset, its glass towers a testament to the empire I'd forged from betrayal's ruins. I was Michael West now, no longer Ethan Harper, the ex-Silicon Valley cybersecurity prodigy who dismantled a conspiracy 8 years ago. My wife Claire, her Novatech colleague, Daniel Reed, my best friend Lucas, her sister Megan, and even my mother had tried to hack my $3 million bank account and frame me for money laundering. They'd planned to oust me by Friday, leaving me broke and disgraced, but my honeypot traps, TechCrunch leaks, and wired exposés had crushed their plans, exposing Claire's role in Victor Lang's suspicious cyber attack death. Now my cybersecurity firm NexusGuard was a beacon of trust, while their lives were digital ash, their betrayals a Silicon Valley legend. I stood in my office sipping a cold brew, my monitors humming with eternal vigilance. Byte's collar hung on the wall, a quiet tribute to my old companion gone 4 years now. Beside it, a framed Bloomberg headline read, "Novatech fraud sparks cybercrime laws." NexusGuard, built on the $3 million I'd saved, now worth $20 million, shielded startups from cyber threats. Our audit's a nightmare for crooked CEOs. My son Liam, my only true family, thrived as a Seattle middle schooler. His robotics project's a haven for the kid we'd been. He'd drop by tonight, his soccer gear in tow, his laughter a balm for the scars of Lucas's betrayal. I'd kept him safe from forged trust fund documents, his trust my anchor in a world of deceit. Rachel and Gwen. My forensics partner kept our enemies' fates sealed. Her update pinged Claire's serving 7 years parole denied. Daniel, an IT clerk in Ohio, blacklisted. Megan bankrupt, Lucas jailed, mother shunned. Claire, once a San Francisco socialite, rotted in an Arizona cell, her parole bids crushed by my bots linking her crimes. Daniel, Novatech's former star, shuffled through a dead-end job, his data theft buried by my leaks. Megan's accounting firm was dust, her lawsuits piling up. Lucas, serving 6 years for fraud, was a tech outcast. My mother, who'd backed Claire's scheme, lived alone in a Jersey rental, her socialite days erased. My monitors flashed a Reuters alert. Hackers' revenge redefines cybersecurity. My anonymous strikes had inspired laws protecting startups from fraud. My legacy coded into Silicon Valley's DNA. I thought of Claire's face at the conference, her mask cracking, as my hack exposed her. Her prison emails pleading for mercy were auto-flagged as spam by my servers. Daniel's job applications triggered alerts, linking his crimes, locking him out of tech. Megan's loan rejections and my mother's foreclosure notices were routine, my network ensuring their past never faded. Liam's voice echoed in my mind. "You kept me safe, Dad." Liam knocked his backpack stuffed with robotics parts. "You're working too hard, Dad," he teased, setting up his project. I grinned, the name Michael now my own. "Just keeping the servers tight," I said, ruffling his hair. He'd read my story in a tech journal, calling me his cyber hero. "You showed them," he said, his eyes bright. "You're my rock." My chest tightened, his trust a lifeline. After dinner, I checked my feeds, a Silicon Valley habit unbroken. Rachel's firm tracked threats, ensuring Claire's pleas or Daniel's schemes stayed dead. My servers, hidden in a Seattle data center, ran 24/7, guarding against ripples. An alert flashed, a former Novatech colleague, now a rival, was probing my Michael West identity, hunting for Ethan Harper's tracks. I smirked, opening a terminal. My past was erased, my digital footprint a ghost. I planted a decoy file leading him to a dead end, and texted Rachel, "Neutralize the Novatech snooper. Keep it quiet." Her winking emoji replied her code for done. I locked my office, the skyline glowing like clean code. Claire wanted wealth, Daniel power, but they'd lost it all to a man they thought was just a consultant. I'd found peace not in trust, but in control. My servers ever watchful, my code unbreakable. Their betrayal had freed me, and my future was mine to shape.